3, because that signals a pretty much same kind of sound, but I like this type of control so I can have envelope control over each harmonic. Okay, and then this modulator, I'm actually running this at a lower harmonic. And so this is kind of creating like a little bit of sidebands, a little bit of rumble on it. So it's actually filling in kind of the low mid range. And that, I started actually, this is something if you know like FM synthesis theory, like how to create sidebands and stuff, you have to do things in certain intervals. And so when you go up to higher coarse tunings, you actually need to really know what those intervals mean in order to like create the same type of donk noise, but not a 2-to-1 ratio. So 2-to-1 ratio means that you need to multiply that. So if it's 1-to-2 here, then it needs to be 3-to-6. And if you, kind of looked into that scale I kind of gave you with the interval stuff, and if you're confused on this shit, just go and check it out. Yeah, octave and a fifth here. So if it's at 6 harmonic actually stands for 2 octaves and a fifth. So that's, the perfect amount of spacing away from it. And is literally times 2. So I can make a kind of similar bass here, but I wanted to make more of a sawtooth rumble. So when I do 1-to-2, that creates odd harmonics. And so I want to not create odd harmonics because that would create more of a square wave. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so you can hear that like tail end that's passing between each open note. So sometimes, and this is when I used to like produce like trance and like techno and more house kind of oriented shit. And noise, white noise is like a huge part of that production where like sometimes I would even just trigger white noise samples over kicks just to fill in like a higher range gap, and that would literally make a kick just stand out in a mix and punch like a dead mouse kick or like an Eric Pride snare. Something like that, Just I like to dissect shit. So I like to fill in the gaps in between some of the high end stuff if I'm filling in the high end with my sub, because there's a ton of space here from this sample that I cut. And actually, Mikey, if you're still in the chat, I used that jazz sample you sent me on this track. Mikey is iconic over at Subverse, and he recorded these little vinyl samples, shared them with me, and I just took that. Dope Full Song, that's the one I used. Yeah, those tunes were nice. I like the little modulations in them. And that's pretty much like where I got the whole idea for the melody of this track. It was literally just from this sample and taking kind of like a motif from that melody in the jazz sample. It sounds elitist as fuck to say it like that, but it's literally how I work, and it allows me to work like exponentially faster if I'm able to just dissect a decision that I need to make. It's not about like being super formulaic about shit. It's actually just being able to discern when you have to make a decision and what type of decision you should make for it. So it's like, oh, I like this one because it does this, and so I can go and repeat that to all this shit. And then when I want to break it out, I can literally just take this sample that I'm repeating the whole time and just extend it. And that's all I did for this build up here. And it just like worked out perfectly. So just like, but I do that with pretty much every sample. Because people like ask me about my vocal sample choices and stuff, and or just like my other sample choices, and that's really just how I do it. Just like, and it kind of goes to like some other thing that I kind of keep in mind, just because I'm like from a musical background. Someone told me once that like Paul McCartney always did his tracks in like 1 to 2 takes, because all the music that he would write, he would only keep the riffs that he remembered after playing once. So I try to translate that into pretty much everything I do so I can actually make very quick decisions. But it's honestly really productive, because if you don't remember it, it doesn't, mean anything. You need to remember it. It needs to vibe with you before it vibes with anybody else. That's kind of the main thing. But yeah, so, making a sawtooth sub here, filter down, ran through a little bit of medium curve, and this, curve right here gives me a lot of like push in my dynamic range without giving me too much like overtone craziness, because the line's not clipped off and it's not moving the actual fades position. I actually didn't hit DC on this because I'm not having to worry about any, stereo issues. This is a pure sub coming out of it, so I don't worry about that when I'm doing it from generated stuff, only with resamples. And then my sub, just kind of pushing this, I opened up the low cross over here to like 110, so I got more of the low mid-range that I was like generating here. And then kind of like crunching together with the saturator. And that's saturation, like pretty much like if you're going to use it as a utility, as a mixing tool, you have to use it as kind of like a blending thing for your like frequency range, so it doesn't sound too barren. Yeah, and then I got DMX on Hype Man. It's a great transition. So I just like took his little yelp, and then I ran that through a vocoder. I like running like single things that are little like hype vocals through vocoders and noise setting, because it sounds like a crowd of people. And then I have a little bit of room just to kind of put it back in the mix a little bit more. And I don't really think I'm doing too much automation on this. I think this is just standing still the whole time. Yeah, I'm just automating like a EQ. So when I want things to like stay in phase and I don't want to like be confined to one filter type, I just use EQ8 for all my low pass and high pass needs instead of like autofilter. I use autofilter for more sound design stuff. Okay, so that's that. We talk about some of the effects and then just kind of end off with the basses here. Alright, so everything's kind of all over the place. I have this like a collie kind of thing that I kind of fuck with. So it used to be like a full build, but I just took out a couple of the snares and just looped them. That's really it. But a collie's name's all over it, bro. Now I got this little Baby Reese sample. Alright, so that is getting, just kind of like it's getting the works with the OTT. And then just a little bit of high passing, because it's literally just a build tool. So I didn't want to be too crazy with it and just like overproduce it. Those are just some resamples I've done before, which were already very overproduced. And then I just added the gate on at the end of the chain, just so I can like sync up the rhythm of the build up here and just have everything kind of cut out. Because I like sometimes to like mono everything on the build up. And I'm pretty sure people know about that trick. What kind of track is it? It's a, I don't know, I think it's like trap. I guess you would call this trap. But yeah, so that's that. And then like just to kind of talk about how I process this sample. It's really just to kind of like cut around the meat here, and I did use an auto filter on bandpass, and that's like one of the main times I use the auto filter, but I'm also moving around a bunch and having it respond to envelope information. And then just hitting delay. Got this little bloop sound, you can barely hear it. Just a little guy. Just a little bloop right there, just in the bottom. Ain't nobody need to know about that bloop. Sitting back, holding it down. We got hype horns. I think I got another. Alright, so these are just running and I just wanted them to, you know, just stay this like really big thing. So whenever I put them in, they always sounded the same in terms of like the space they added. And then I have more side chaining on the final group, and that's just so I can wrangle everything together. And if something is already side chained, it's going to get double side chained, which will make it even more cut, which I kind of like. Yeah, and just to like quickly talk about this side chain. So the flip gate down here, like if you just turn that on, pretty much what it does is it allows anything running through to just run through, and then when it gets triggered, it cuts out sound. So I have it set to my snare group here, and then my kick group here. So I always run kick first, snare second. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. If kick and snare were going at the same time, I would not have this. But yeah. Okay, so, I mean, you probably heard it. I know you see it. So that's just to explain that. Now let's talk about the bass here. Okay, so I have frozen stuff here, so let's unfreeze that. Let's see if it still sounds the same. Success. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I have a respace that I made, and I'm using sampler, and I'm starting it from a point where I'm pretty sure it was like a very sawtooth-like sound. And then I just kind of blasted sawtooth into it. So what I did first though is I actually kind of tuned it. You know, I found a part that was kind of tuned to the sawtooth, but at a really low interval. Okay, so you know, really cool thing about FM synthesis and sawtooths, you know, if you add two sawtooths together with full range, they'll multiply each other, kind of like a sync oscillator. If you don't know how that works, you know, pretty much what it does is when you create sidebands and shit, if you create a sideband that's to the side of the first harmonic right next to the fundamental, it actually just eliminates the fundamental and starts to multiply that fundamental. So then your fundamental goes up octaves. So if you add more amplitude, higher fundamental. Amplitude equals higher pitch in that situation. And that's with sawtooths only. You need to have both odd and even harmonics, both coinciding to the harmonic series for them to perfectly line up and do that. Okay, so then as well, I added auxiliary modulation here, and I have LFO modulation. So auxiliary modulation on the volume of the oscillator, because I wanted to change the timbre, and like I just said, like volume equals pitch. So I'm changing the LFO rate, and I'm changing the volume of the oscillator here. And then I believe I have in pitch oscillator, I have another pitch modulation, and that's going up pretty high, but only up an octave. And then this just goes all the way on. Like I had different versions of this where it was like modulating, doing some other shit, but I just ended up settling with keeping it all the way on, and then kind of making it move in the same type of modulation the jazz sample was going in, and that was my motivation for it. Let's check out the automation because there's a lot. So I'm changing filter frequency on this guy here, and this is just the basic bandpass at different points. So on this second drop, I use it a lot. Then I am modulating coarse tuning, I think, yeah. So every time I like change kind of like the timbre, I am changing the coarse tuning of the mod oscillator. And then this is just to kind of like make sure I have control over that filter again. This is actually a duplicate. And then I think I changed this for the second half here, and then I have it like speed up. And then I was doing stuff with this, but it stopped. And then I just have the mixer automation. And this is something I do a lot to preemptively edit my sounds. So instead of doing like printing and cutting, I'll just kind of like turn the mixer off. And I don't get too many clicks and pops. Sometimes I do if there's a ton of processing after it, but in this case, there's not really that much. I have like a few groups and groups here, but it's really just to kind of like make sure everything's organized for myself. Group processing, just OTT, and imager. So imager, just kind of centering the lows and getting the mids and the high mids to kind of like pop out a little bit more. And then this is a resample I took from VCV Rack. And these are actually both from a VCV Rack. This is something I do a lot with samples, is I'll go and take the original like big sample, cut out a little piece, and then start messing with the warp automation. And I'm sure you guys all kind of do that stuff. To your question, Ori, when you have a sound that needs it, but also you need to have MIDI triggering it. And I have MIDI triggering it in this, but I ended up taking it off just because it was a little bit too much, and I was already getting kind of the sound I wanted just out of straight FM. So yeah, now in the black hole release here, I call it the black hole release because I used this kind of special like amplitude modulator to kind of create this sound. So a lot of it is coming from the processing chain though. So I'm adding like noise at 2 stages here before the vocoder, and the vocoder does a lot of movement too. So let's check out the automation. So this just kind of moves around up and down here. Let's see if I have any other stuff. Yeah, so format shift is kind of being used a lot, and that does change the sound a lot when you have it full dry wet, and the depth turned all the way up because it makes the filter bank really respond to each frequency at a short, clean envelope. So let's hear it before processing. Yes, all videos will not be touched from my Twitch. I won't be taking them down. That doesn't really make any sense to me. So yeah, you can kind of hear that this is really being changed a lot. So I like to push things up before I go into the vocoder so I can get it to really, really respond. So if it's at too low of an amplitude, I won't get enough harmonics coming through it. So I do have a few stages of erosion post vocoder, just because I was trying to wrangle this whole sound. So this sound is probably the most processed out of all of them. So a lot of compression, just kind of wrangling this in, and then it's getting smashed into a glue compressor. I think at one point I did have this sidechained, but then I ended up taking off the sidechain because I just wanted to free rein. Alright, so this is kind of a weird one, just because I kind of do this type of editing a lot to kind of like blend two different phrases from a Reese together. Just to kind of like touch on some of your questions. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much physical modeling. And I definitely use FabFilter a lot. That's pretty much what I'm doing for my master. So my master, like literally, like I need to bounce this track out, so I'm just gonna smash it and send it. And this is actually mastered quieter than a lot of my other tunes. It's about like neg 5 or neg 6, because I wasn't trying to like really sit down and mix it. Okay, so this next sound here is pretty much, this all used to be one patch, and I made both of these sounds in one line, but it ended up being like, 16 lines of automation. So I was just kind of getting bogged down by that. And my computer, my laptop, was not being happy with it. Hence why this is even frozen right now. Mainly because what I'm doing here is I'm sourcing like a super long file. So I'm literally using this giant ass file just for this one hit right here. And once I find it, I don't want to go and like resample it. It's like that's too much. I just want it to stay there. So I'm not gonna do anything to change that sample if I'm trying to get the track out in like a couple hours and release tomorrow, So this is just minor little hits, and this is actually what I had Corpus on this track for. I ended up turning it off entirely because I ended up doing some automation here. So Corpus in this case is being used a lot, and that's being triggered by MIDI. So you get MIDI from the track it's on. So 15 Reese. And then I usually do it post effects because if there's any effects, meaning MIDI effects, so like an arpeggiator or anything, you have to patch it in there for it to receive MIDI from that, or else it will receive MIDI from the MIDI line only. And then you have to make sure frequency's on for it to work. Now I use transpose to kind of tune it, and string to kind of blend the texture. So like let's hear it without that. So it doesn't really change it that much. So I had the kind of main sound already there. What I wanted to add with the Corpus was the physical modeling element, which is take all that noise I added, which is 200% here, vocoded, and then I want to comb through that noise. So using the string filter here gives me a really nice noise profile to comb through it with, which is similar to pipe, but I didn't want it to be too sharp because it's already super sharp, and I ended up kind of like cutting a lot of different points with the highs at those really harsh spots. And then Ubermod is kind of also spreading out the sound. Alright, so Ubermod and Corpus kind of work together here and make that kind of like slicey kind of sound. So I really like Ubermod, mainly because it's a tap filter or a tap delay, and you can add a bunch of different delayed sounds together, modulate all the pitches, pull down the delay size a lot, and then push it up a lot, so it has a really cool sound. It sounds kind of like the way ping pong delay used to sound, but kind of a little bit on steroids. Yeah, so that's kind of it for this track. That's really like the main vibe. Everything comes together to kind of like push. Alright, so, really simple. I have 3 tracks of MIDI here because I start from one drum rack, and then what I do is I create another, like MIDI track here, and say if I wanted to take these like random little snares out. So this guy has found it. Let's go and drag and drop it literally into the track, and I'll move all the MIDI. So that's just what I do. That's why I like drum racks. It's quick. Okay, so that's that. Alright, time for donks. Yep. What do I want to make? Kind of want to utilize some kind of like weird additive thing. I do want to use Razor. Prism can also be really cool. It's a little bit more heavy-handed though. Let's try laser bass. Cool, cool. Okay, is there an initial patch? Little plus sign will open up the banks inside of here. There we go. Alright, so laser base is pretty cool. It's kind of the, you know, really similar to Razor in terms of like its functionality, but doesn't really have any like filters. It does have like a bunch of partial movement though. So what I'm gonna do, y'all talking about some fab filter. I'm gonna get Volcano going. And this is like kind of an initial thing I do. Just when I'm working with like a synth like this, because I really don't want to have to work around its like non-filter. Alright, so you just route like a little, pretty much it's called the normal route, so it's just always running through it, so it's in like Q mode. So input monitoring, that's the button, just turn that on. So monitor the input of MIDI coming from reactor 6, and then you send it back into reactor 6, and then open up this menu and you get all your MIDI inputs for each MIDI capable plugin. So that'll make Volcano instantly respond to MIDI. So when I play MIDI now, this light will pop up. That means that I can add a source, envelope generator, hit the MIDI sign, and now this envelope will change with MIDI. Okay. So there's a lot of different like SAW settings in here, and what you're really doing is like controlling the amount of partials, which means the resolution of the waveform coming in or out. Dual square is a detune dual square, multi-square. It gives you a lot of different shapes with the square. Impulse is kind of like a timbral oscillator. Yeah, so I'm going to use full square. Yeah, it's definitely the way to do it. I've tried doing this in a few other DAWs, like this MIDI route, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I really like that about Ableton. Okay, so all this stuff is really adding like modulation to the partial bank. So this is how many partials you have. You can change how much fundamental is in there. And I believe you can add some type of LFO to the actual pitch here as well, and create beating. But I'm pretty sure I have to patch it in there. Alright, so attenuation is going to change the shape of the actual square. So defines the size of recurring pattern of individual partials, so I can change that pattern. Vibes. Alright, I'm also going to add some trash. Traw, bruh. Can't delete because reactor's open. There you go. Serum also does that too. It doesn't like, it like, you know, targets the keyboard focus. Alright, so I'm going to patch this in here, get a little low pass filter going. So pretty sure laser bass is only monophonic. I think it might be poly, but there's like a setting here. Really don't think it has a poly setting. But if you wanted it to be, even if you can't find it here like me right now, then I really don't think it does. You can actually go into open up reactor here, and you can just target it, add max voices to it, turn off lock voices first, and then you can go add max voices, and this actually tells me that it is set to monophonic. But actually I don't want to blow it up right now. It's monophonic for a reason. It could be cool, but for this donk purpose I don't need to do that. It's a little reactor 101. I know, right? That's why I stopped making house. It's just depressing me. It's like, why am all my house tracks keep on going off? I want to do my music. So I kind of like the hard clip, but I also kind of want it to be linear. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it linear here, and I'm going to create like a little bit of a sine wave modulator. Whoops, not on that guy. And I click that, and then change that to sine. Turn down the frequency a little bit. Nice. So it just creates a little bit of squircle. Kill, kill. Alright, so I'm gonna mess with this a little bit more. So ratio add means it adds kind of like definition at this harmonic. So it's actually talking about the ratio. When it gives you 0.5, when it's talking about harmonics in the harmonic series, it's saying halfway in between the next harmonic. So at 8, you know, if you want to go above and beyond, learn what's up above 8 in terms of the harmonic series, it goes in harmonically at one point, but it starts chromatic right after 8. So 9 is a major second. So 8.5 would be a minor second. So that's some advanced harmonic series knowledge. So I really actually like 8.5. So I'm going to add some dispersion, which adds D2. I just jam out on fucking house lines all day. There's just so much fucking swag to it. If you do it right, you know? Not that fucking, like, what's that F word bass house? That shit sucks balls. I really do not like Datsic's bass house. Or Datsic. Sorry. Alright, so I want to do this, but I also want to add a little bit of some wideband, just kind of shaping. A lot of movement already. Shit sounded chunky, man. So I'm gonna go 126. I really like 126. Then I'm gonna make a little beat. So I really like where it's at already, and I kind of like the donkiness of it. That's where I really, really like additive synthesis for donks. That's one of my favorite donk synthesis things. Synths. So there's like this little mod section here. I think I'm gonna actually add a little bit of movement too. So it's gonna change kind of like the pitch of some of the upper harmonics, and then phase shift. Yeah, let's try that too. So when it says envelope, it's actually responding to this envelope. That's cool like that. Actually, I don't want to fuck with the phase. I kind of want it to stay in phase actually, so I'm going to take that off entirely. It's partial beating. That's going to do more detune. This is going to make it sound a little bit more FM-y because it's going to multiply the ratio. Pinch is kind of like bend, you know, it's pinching the waveform. Kind of like it right about there. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this. Gonna go into convolution, gonna change the ordering of this just to keep it a little bit more clean. Graph there, put convolve first, I like that. Body, these are my favorite for basses. I like hollow, fishbowl, helmet, wide dirt might sound cool. Alright, I'm gonna put this band pass. I'm gonna switch this to parallel mode. Sounds cool, it's a little bit too bell-like right now. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of pitch modulation. Sounded pretty cool. Sounded pretty donkey. I'm going to change this filter type. I kind of want it to be a 2. This has a lot of like definition stuff. I'm gonna add some of my sauce to it. Add this post filter. I'm gonna put some OTT on. Slap glue. Whoops. Command drag moves all the thresholds. I'm gonna put soft clip on. Alright, so we're going to make this a little bit more intense. Let's go hard. Cool. Go MIDI source, get keyboard tracking, send that into the cutoff. Alright, so I like to go full range first, and then... So I want this to kind of like resonate and create kind of like a shape. So I'm going to make that sharper. I'd probably add another one too. the sound at least. Yeah, it's not crazy. It's a global master envelope here. Don't really want that to carry over. It's built in a little sub as well. Cool. Alright. Before I get sucked in deeper on that. Alright, so I'm gonna get some vibes going. Let's see. Dusty house grooves. Like that. Vibey. Alright. I'm actually gonna put these in their own groups so I don't accidentally put shit on that MIDI track. Almost loaded a drum rack on there. Let's see. Let's go boom bap. I'm actually gonna go and look for like a snare right now. Rim. Those two. Whoops. It's a rimmy snare. Okay. There's a couple kicks in here that are pretty good for this. I really like this one. Just throw a drum bus. Drum bus. Drum bus. Oops. Not making juke. Alright, peace. Later, Caleb. Weird. Wait, oh, I know why. It's that stupid LFO tool. Jesus Christ. See, LFO tool, you're out. All right, it's time to actually put some real notes in. Oh, that's probably the best one for this. Oh yeah, definitely. Like kind of like designing the track around like the vibe of the synth. I do that a lot when I'm trying to like find like a new sound. If I'm going for like a new sound on a like a track, then definitely I'll like try to go for like an exact weird thing to kind of theme the track around it. Noise, noise. I'm gonna just like turn this off right here. Thank you. Want it to like hang on that end part. I don't want the step. I want the step like right here. I need a stepper. I need a little step guy. So we get there. Go Valhalla Room. I'm gonna make this just a super dark track, and I'm gonna start building out like a phrase on this. So I kind of like where it's going. I don't know what you think, but okay. Getting pretty wonky. Now for a couple more donks. I need some utility donks. Couple of you still in the chat, for sure. That's a very typical techno sound right there. 3 oscillators set up here. Everything in line. That undertone modulation gives it that kind of like woody kind of tone. It's like esophageal. Don't want to clip it too hard. Let's do basic saturation here. That's funky. Let's find out why. I don't have any feeds open here. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably my master's too loud. If I add a couple of other like ratios up here, yeah, I gotta get like my headphones set up, but I don't have my little like quarter-inch jack on me right now. I like it darker. You know, that's all. Let's typed in COVID. Exactly. Yeah. So that's like a super easy thing to automate. I like to put my reverbs before saturation sometimes. It really cleans. Or it just makes like a huge fucking booming space. Don't want big places. Let's go chambers, small room, ambience. Fill in the gaps with the sounds here. So Depending on the genre that you're making, phrasing is like super huge. I'm just gonna talk about this while I'm like setting shit up here. Um, yeah, phrasing for D&B can be like 1 to 2 bars. House is the same thing, dude. It's crazy how D&B and house are very, very fucking similar with the phrasing. That's because like the speed at which it's being like digested, um, you really have to maximize the sound because it's going to be repeated really often. And if you don't repeat it really often, it's really hard for people to dance to it. Like if you're gonna like set up like a shuffle rhythm, you definitely have to pretty much like have the bass shuffling around with it. You can't just, you know, set up a shuffle rhythm on your drums and expect people just to be able to lock onto that. And that goes without saying with pretty much everything. Like you can't just go and like make a new sound every bar. And you can't change your phrasing every bar either, unless you're really trying to be experimental. Like, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying it's not going to be danceable. Like, it's going to be hard to dance to that. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind if you're making like a dancing tune. Alright, so this is going to be my Reese. Usually like to have like a little bit of a Reese at the beginning and end of phrases of like super dark kind of house tunes I'm making. That's kind of like the only house tunes I'm making. Like a little breaks group here. Just because I'm definitely going to want to like just high pass these, so I'm just going to put them all in a little group preemptively. Need a little bit of order here. Okay. Can't be bothered making a new MIDI clip. just kind of move in and out here. Let's go sawtooth here, put this in 2. So I kind of want them to be the same. And then envelope on B, I'm going to copy that from oscillator. Both. Using vitamin to like really just kind of expand it a little bit. My mic didn't actually change at all. I changed. I got quieter. Let me crank that up a little bit. So these sounds are going to overlap, but I'm actually going to move this one out of the way. I just want it to have like a little bit of lead room. And that's going to kind of be the phrase. Essential trap sample. Needs to kind of be like close to where the downbeat is, but like right before it. It's like a little bit of breakdown here. We can bring in some more amen. I'm gonna try something. Yeah. Yeah, this is a vibe. Yeah, it goes deep. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. Big one. Yeah, that would just fucking go off. I just know this would fucking go off. You know, it's just one of those things. You just know if you've been in that situation where this would go off, you would know that this would go off, and that's how you know that it'll go off. I want some like weird fucking spoken word shit.
Electromagnetism.
Hey, what's on the fire here?
In a radio studio.
Come here to me.
That's a little much.
We interrupt this program.
I slipped off my dress and
No.
From Earth.
I was standing in the park and... what time is it?
Why I do these things, I'll never know. Why I do
Discord.
these things.
Mikey.
Domination of entire areas by racketeers.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Domination of
Send it through.
domination of entire areas by racketeers. Domination of entire areas. Domination of entire areas by racketeers. Domination of entire areas by racketeers. Domination of entire
I'll put a pin in this. I don't know. Just trying shit out.
If you are getting me.
All right.
Mark Poso del Cielo.
We're from Earth.
You don't look like a mess.
She's different.
Okay, goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye.
In almost all instances,
She's moving.
They gave me a quick look and make sure I wasn't carrying the plague.
X-ray, ultra.
They gave me a quick look and make sure I wasn't carrying the plague.
Shotguns are out. Goodbye. Shotgun. Shotguns are out. Goodbye. Shotgun.
Unidentified.
The world changes more than you
figure it out. Do you feel the warm sun?
Better be ready. Love don't cost.
Up in the club, beating it up. Me and the DJ heating it up.
Oh shit! Boars.
We've got every.
Rock to the rhythm, go. Rock to the rhythm, bring the funk back.
Rock, rock on all day, every day. Come on, party people. All day, every day. All day, every day.
Now set.
You ready to get down?
Rock your body.
Give it up for my D.
Ghetto funk in the.
Is anybody out?
Oh yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
Get your hands up. Get your hands.
Say turn it up. Y'all ready?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready? Bounce, bounce, bounce that ass. Y'all feel it?
The roof.
We said bang, bang, boom. Yeah, we go ghetto funk. Here we go. Are you one more time? I said rock. Yeah. Back.
Last
We said kick. Let.
Can't stop now.
I had this
Yeah.
like really weird library somewhere in here. I think this is it.
Weak in winter's morning glow, such a color in my eyes. You hold fast. You had it once, and then you're like, yeah. Despondency locks arms with desperate desolation. Despondency.
You know what this sounds like? Fucking Pascal Rotel last night on the Insomniac feed. That was probably the most cringe shit I've ever seen. Insomniac, what in the fuck are you doing?
Beat for all humanity.
2-time.
Gone. Turn the party out. Gone. Turn the party out.
Let's check it out. Yeah, I have my like laptop open right now. Actually, I don't want to like publicize my Discord. Let me just airdrop that shit really quick. Okay, yeah, Mike, you just link it to me in message. Yeah, it's the dirty Dutch shit. This stuff is super weird. Where are you? Snail, right? Okay.
Hide your face from honest. And I knew she, somewhere inside, the emptiness of time, awaits within me a sonic source code. Spreading at the speed of sound, transformed to a morning mist.
Sick.
From my heart as it's fuck it. Play as if fuck it. You're too petty.
Fuck it.
We can stem both tide and whatever it from my soul. I will be writing the strings. We finally. I listened from my soul to the. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Probably use that. It's a little creepy. Not in a cool way. But you know what I mean? Alright, 1 second while I download this shit. Probably do something like this. It's C minor, so I'm gonna push this up 1 semitone, push down octave. No. No, you fucked my vibe up, bro. This guy sounds like a total vibe reader. You know what I mean? You need to read the room, bro. Let's go side sheen number 2. No. Number 4, I think. No. Jesus. Those are all not the right ones. That's close. Little snare build up here. What's going on here? Nudge everything by 1 fucking 16th note. This is my trackpad. Just duplicating, speeding up, all that shit, just so I can go and put it all into one file and then pitch it up again. Just gonna use that sample as a vibe here when you just sent my key, and then cue this shit.
Shotguns are out. Shotguns are out. Shotguns are out. Shotguns are out.
I told you. Alright, cool. Definitely, definitely does sound like LFO tool clicking and popping there. Gonna try to figure that out. Making a little line here. It's gonna be kind of groovy. Yeah, pretty much. And also like bring out the sustain of the land, and without like making it peak.
Shotguns are out.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to have like a consistent vibe here. I really like the little like donk lead right here. It's very like techno-y, but I also want it to be like super consistent like the other drop there. Just want to make like a B section. So I'm gonna chop around it. So that's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about phrasing. Just like needs to fit around one vibe, so people have something to lock onto. It's really easy to dance to that, and also find the groove in that. And it's just a lot of fun. That's why. Kiar sounds sick. I'm gonna make one more wub. Let's go sawwub. Let's go 2-1. And then this. Nope. Actually, just this. Do some randomizing there. Yeah. I'm all about that sonic uniformity. Helps me tell a story with the sound, you know? Big oof. Yeah, so to your question, it's kind of randomized. So what I do is I go and I highlight one section, hold down Command so it goes in fine amounts, and then add D to it, and then just start scanning, and it'll start Command D'ing out of control. So you can just do it to like any little waveform, pretty much make a little basic sample and hold. You just hit Command D a bunch of times. Sick. I should probably save this before it crashes. Let's call this shotgunning, because that's what the fucking guy says. It's a pretty good name. I'm gonna play it from the top.
Shotguns are out.
It sounds dope. This part's all fucked up though. So let me just unfuck it. Sounds dope though. I'm stoked. Shoot. That's your question. What's the lonely time? That'd be hilarious. What is going on? You're saying sidechain the fills from 12 in the next step? Yeah, actually. Like the brakes and stuff definitely have to kind of be wrangled. Um, and so is this. I sidechain these guys. Those are just chugging along in the back. We're not worried about those guys right now. Those guys, don't worry about that guy. Guy ain't doing nothing right now. Don't worry about that guy.
Shotguns are out. Shotguns are out. Shotguns. Shotguns are, shotguns are, shotguns, shotguns are out. Shotguns are shotguns are guns are out. Are out. Shotguns are out. Shotguns are up. Shotguns. Shotguns are up. 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 Shotguns are up.